Hello, everyone. It's Friday. Boy, what a day. I mean, I used to have a guy that I work with that he would come yelling, "It's Friday," like really loud. But boy, now that the WNBA started and Fridays on Ion is here, I am as happy as he was. Anyway, I got some pictures off Facebook and just made this my screensaver for the Valkyries. There's another picture. I'll put this up. Boy, doesn't that look sweet? I guess they're giving everybody T-shirts or sweatshirts or something on the seats for everybody that goes to the game today. So it's going to be exciting. Win or lose, from what I've seen, they're going to fight, and they're going to scratch and claw. And I think it's going to come down to who hits their shots. And anyway, so we have another thing here, which I think is pretty cool. They do this on the WNBA site. Let me see if I can get it over here. And we are 6 hours and 17 seconds away from tip-off. So, how cool is that? Just wanted to get this video out of the way so I can enjoy all the rest of the games. And so you have Minnesota playing Dallas around 4 o'clock Pacific Coast time. And the other game, hold on a second here. We have Atlanta and the Mystics. So I'm not really going to cover them right now. I'm going to cover them after the games are over. But we're going to go back to the Valkyries. And we're counting down the time. So first, before I get into reviewing the game, I watched All the Smoke, which is a couple of ex-Warrior players that have this podcast, and they had Cynthia Cooper on. And it was really interesting. I always thought of, because nothing was on TV. Cynthia Cooper and I are 6 months apart. I always thought that she was the same years as I was. Well, it turns out the McGee twins were the same years I was. Cynthia Cooper played 82 to 86, which I thought was funny because we were so close in age. I thought she'd be either 81 to 85 or, 80 to 84 like I was. Anyway, back then, you just didn't see things. They put the national championship game on TV, which is when you saw, the women of Troy and that great USC team with Cheryl Miller and Cynthia Cooper came off the bench. And it was really interesting to listen to some of the things that she said and how there was one thing that I was hoping she would talk about that she didn't, which, she talked about a lot of stuff, but how she got the information to be able to go overseas. And maybe by the time, so she got out of college in 86, I left in 84, and I knew one player. There was a player, she was a great player, Kelly Camp, who played for St. John's University. She was also from Connecticut, which I grew up in Connecticut. And Kelly Camp was a great guard. She was 5'8", and she could shoot, and she was just a great player. I was at a summer camp kind of thing. That's where I'd meet all these people who, were high-level players at the time, but, no one knows about unless you were there locally. But anyway, I think we were at Yale University, and another friend who played for Yale, we became friendly over, just going to camps and stuff during the summer. And Kelly walks in, and I didn't even recognize her. She was so skinny. And turns out she was a year or two ahead of me, I think. I think she was just a year ahead. So her waist was so thin. I didn't even recognize her. Anyway, so I was like, Kelly, what happened? And she goes, well, I went and played in Japan. She goes, it wasn't a good experience. So for me, who had, I think, still a year left at that time, and I always wanted to play. I dreamed about it when I was a kid. I wanted to play, and I wanted to play pro basketball, and I thought, oh my God, we're so close. Boy, was I wrong. It took 13 years after that just to get the WNBA started. But anyway, back to Cynthia Cooper. She was, she had a few things that, she lived by, and she she definitely started out as an underdog, and she was able to get that chance to go overseas and, really beef up her game. And one of the phrases that she said was, whatever it takes. And I just remember that, as an athlete, you learn certain things that, the men have learned from, since I don't even want to say what I'm going to say. They have known these things to be competitive and to, like nonstop. I've had people tell me I'm crazy all the time for how much I've worked. I mean, I didn't get the chance to play professional or whatever, but I still had that same work ethic. And anyway, it was really interesting that she had the same kind of experience, but she got to do it. And fortunately for her, she was still playing overseas when the WNBA started. And, it was great. I was happy to see someone from my era, get in there. Even though she was, I thought about it because they had an ABL team in San Jose. And boy, I thought about it. But I would have had to give up my career, and I had a mortgage by then. And it just wasn't possible. It wasn't, when they were paying, $50,000 or something to just take that chance. And I had hurt my knee a couple years before, and it wasn't surgically repaired, and it just wasn't feasible. But boy, it was exciting to see that finally start. So anyway, on to the Valkyries. I'm just going to let this count down for our background here. I'm not going to make any predictions. All these people making predictions. All it takes is one injury and a team's out of it. One key injury. What I will say is I think the Valkyries are going to fight like tooth and claw. I mean, they're just going to fight. And I think it's just basically going to come down to who's going to hit their shots. I mean, if Kelsey Plum is hitting, she has this thing she does with her shot. It's like you'll watch it, and sometimes she shoots it where it goes up and out. And boy, they're going in. But I watched her with the Aces last year, and you could tell when she was going to miss because she would just go out. Her shot would go out. And I kept thinking, geez, aren't their coaches saying something to her about this? I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Or maybe it's just, something she's working on. Because she's a great shooter. I mean, she was the NCAA scoring leader before Caitlin Clark broke that record. I guess it's 2 years ago now. But anyway, she's a great shooter. If she gets hot, LA's probably going to win. But then again, the Valkyries could start hitting, and then, we're going to win. But you know what? I'm just so happy it's going that I'm going to be at my couch, just screaming at the TV the whole time. And I love that. I love that I don't have anywhere to go and I can just focus on this. That's one of the benefits of being retired. You can just do what you want. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great time down at the game in San Francisco, and that gym's going to be rocking, and it's going to be filled. Good old Valhalla. I don't know who got that name. I think it was part of the Warriors. But the other thing that I saw was Steph Curry was interviewed, and someone asked him, he's like, hey, you going to be a fan? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be a fan. He goes, I'm going to catch as many games as I could. And that's always nice to see when the men support us, because they certainly didn't when I was playing. I mean, a couple did, but mostly we were a joke. Okay, so that's a preview. I'll get better at this as it goes on. I'll have more research and stuff. But, right now it's just, hey, let's get this going and let's have a good time. All right. Everyone have a good night and enjoy the basketball games.